Hello, my name is Heather Mackey. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today we're going to talk about medicinal moments with others. How to be medicinal when you are engaging with divergent frequencies. You have your frequency, you have your sack of opinions, then people have their frequency and their sack of opinions, and sometimes they really jive. And sometimes they really don't. How do we be medicinal? So I will speak from my own experience. And I'll go back to one of my favorite humans I have known. Jana Mackey, Barbara Jean Short was her birth name, but Jana Mackey, my mother, was all the things I pray to be one day. If I can be a fifth of who she was, in my opinion, I will have won the game of life. I will have succeeded. Nailed it. If I can be 1/5 of who she was. She's all the things. She was kind of quiet and private, and I'd have to pry, and luckily, as a deep questioner, I would question her, and therefore pull out stories that would be subterranean in her. And she would share this story with me that had a deep impact on my being. I'm not sure exactly how it affected my brother and sister. But she said she went to a psychic, a really good psychic, after our dad died. He drowned in the Brazos River when I was 17 months old. My sister was 3. My brother was 6 or 7. My brother was there in the river with him and my mom. And she went to a psychic and said, I just want to understand why I'm left here to raise these 3 kids on my own without my beloved. I want to understand that better. Why is that mine to hold? And the psychic said, in your last lifetime, you were the father. My mom, Jana, was the father. And we were an African-American family. And it was in the period when slavery had just ended. And it was still an extremely hostile time. Like, yeah, you have your rights, but no, you don't. Because there's still, even to this day, there's still a lot of bias and ignorance and not equal treatment. And my mom was the father, and my dad was the mother. And my mom in that lifetime, who was my father, died and left my dad to raise the 3 of us, these slaves that had recently won their freedoms and still did not feel safe or free. And in this life, she was, it's weird to say balancing karma, because it's, I feel like karma is a strongly misunderstood term, but balancing understanding. In this life, she then, went on to raise 3 kids. So that felt true to her. That felt right. She felt like she had found the answer she was seeking. She would say to us too. She'd pull us aside and say, "Baby, we're black on the inside, so just remember that. Color doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter. You have white skin, but you're black on the inside, so color doesn't matter." And she would say, "I like to walk into a room and just feel who's there. I don't walk into a room and see skin color." And this is true of her. After Dad died, sometime after he died, she would go into a bar and be the only white person there. She told me once she sat down at the bar just enjoying a drink at a place she liked to be that felt like home to her. Man walked up to her and started saying something to her about being racist. And she looked at him and said, I am not the one talking about race right now. If we want to look to who's being racist right now, you, sir, are the one that sat down and brought up the topic of race and saw a division. So these are very strange, unique beliefs to be raised with as a white woman with white privilege. I don't have male privilege, but I've got white privilege, and I'm abundantly aware of it. I mean, just look at the number of people with melatonin and pigmentation in their skin. Look at the percentage of those people in prison as compared to white people. So many privileges. I don't have the same fears and concerns when I get pulled over that I would if I was a person of color. There's just so many things. There are things I'm aware I don't even see because I'm playing white skin in this lifetime. I don't even see because I'm not standing in the vessel that has to confront that lack of equality and that lack of privilege. So today's topic is medicinal moments with others. And one of the ways I like to actively practice reparations or medicinal moments with others, because in this body, I come from a line of white people that did whatever they did. I don't know. I didn't know them, but they did something. And if there's any chance that it had a negative impact on the natives of these lands, or a person of color, may I, as the great grandchild or whatever it is, however far back that went, may I give reparations through my actions. What that means is, as I'm taking my little white butt into the grocery store and I see a person of color, may I slow down and let them go first. May I give them right of way. May I find a way to make their life easier today. May I give reparations through my devotional act of love. Now, from my own philosophy system and from my own rearing, we've talked about me not being a YOLO, and that doesn't even mean that I think that I've been a white woman every lifetime. You see, my mother was my father, and as my father, he was an African American, right? So the concept of gender and the concept of culture and the concept of race are stripped from the matrix of how I was made. So I believe, well, take a couple of steps to get where I believe on that, but I believe I have been every race, every culture, every gender identification, intersexed, which we used to call hermaphrodite, male, female. I have had cerebral palsy. I've had autism. I believe we have been it all. I believe there's one life being lived here. One life. One eternal life where energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is not separate. Never has been separate. Couldn't get separate if it wanted to, even though it is playing separate right now. And even though that is my belief, and for me that is true, it does not change my awareness that in this paradigm, the majority hold a different belief about what I am. They hold a different belief about from whence I come. They hold a different belief about maybe their opinions of how I should show up. So may I not live my life to appease opinions and ego assessments and definitions and labels. I mean, the fact that we need to identify races is racist. Why do I have to be a race? Can't we be human? Humans, it's like being crayons. And it's like, Heather, you're the white crayon or the peach crayon. No, baby, we're a box of crayons. I have to label all the colors. It's just a box to color with. Come on now. I mean, that's straight from Superman, if you know the native hip-hop artist that is brilliant. That's racist, to be labeling stuff and constantly finding ways to keep it separate. So with that philosophy, the way I step into medicinal moments with others is I have reverence from where they come from. Most humans walking this rock called Earth School were not reared with the philosophy I was reared with. And they do see me as a white woman. I am this gender, this genitalia, I am this color, I'm this little flesh sack. This is what I am. And since none of us know if we're right, they might be right. Maybe you live once. Maybe you get one shot at it. And you just happen to come in the line of people that were historically really crappy awful. So may you give reparations. May you have medicinal moments with others by saying, you know what, baby, you go first. Let me slow myself down. Because an elderly person that deserves my respect, a person of color that deserves reparations, deserves my reverence and my reparations. May I give it to you? May I assist you? May I help you? If you need help. I believe thought is cause. I don't believe I need to wash my hands and wear a mask. I do these things of scrubbing up, sanitizing, keeping my distance, following all the rules of Earth School. Because even though I don't believe that, I believe that whatever you believe holds true for you. And there are so many that believe that thoughts and feelings are not cause. Action is cause. And I have to take the action. I have to do the action. And that's what's making everything happen. And because the majority believe that way, and because I know that their beliefs hold true for them, I will follow the rules of your belief matrix, even though I don't agree with it. Because who knows who's right? It doesn't matter. Does it give you peace of mind? Then that's a medicinal moment with other. That is me offering reverence to your opinion sack and not needing to showboat in the righteousness of my own opinion sack. I'm an opinion sack. I'm a bubble that's going to burst one day. And the question is, what frequency did I offer right now? What frequency did I offer you? Did I offer reverence for your belief matrix? Reverence for your perspective? Reverence for where you come from? Reverence for how your mama raised you? Reverence for what you hold and believe to be true? May I set my philosophies aside for a second and ask in my now how I can revere your come from. And darlings, I don't do it all the time. Trust, it is difficult to walk in a realm where the majority of what is believed is not your belief. And you have to constantly lay your beliefs aside so that you can fit into the paradigm. You're like constantly hammering your circle into a triangle to fit into the pie of humanity. And many of you may relate to this in a variety of ways, like at work, or like, maybe you offer grace, or you offer compassion, or you offer understanding when someone says something that you go, that is not what I believe. What did you just say? What did you just say? Now, there are ways in which we can definitely take a stand in our beliefs, and that's appropriate too, and those can be medicinal moments with the self. We don't have to get violent. We don't have to get angry. We can follow our teachers, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and we can peaceably stand in our truth and say, from my perspective, what you just said is what we call a racist joke. And those words are never appropriate for my ears because racism is an ignorance that causes separation. And separation is not subatomically what's occurring, because all subatomic particles have an electrostatic charge and they bounce around with each other in a unified field. So I do not receive information. Like if that's something you want to do, oh, darling, please let me walk a different path away from you. That's not something I do, baby. I don't do that. I didn't do that. It's okay to take a stand for your belief matrix, and it's also appropriate sometimes to surrender it. That you might have a medicinal moment with others, that we might all collectively get off our high horse and say, where are you coming from, darling? Okay. In this moment of now, I see something I could do right here that would offer the most harmony and the most peace. So that when I die, which we know is happening for all of us, if I get to have a life review, that I can look back at this moment and go, I offered you the highest frequency I could in that now. Which wasn't ego righteousness. It was a humble awareness that you matter and your opinions matter. Words from face area, called prayer by some. I'm assuming called words from face area by the atheists. Whatever you want to call it. Dress up your dolls how you like. May we all have great reverence from where each being comes from, and understand that we walk in a garden of unique flowers. And may we allow those flowers to bloom in their own way, in their own time, and not ask them to do what we do. My sister once said to me, you don't understand yourself. I said, they don't understand me. I was upset. I said, these people don't understand me. She said, baby, nobody understands you. Nobody, not even your beloved, nobody is ever going to fully understand you. You don't even understand yourself. One of the many wise things she said to me. Maybe remember that now. No matter how many people you know, you don't understand them. And you think you have because you heard them and you're like, yep, but it went through your filter, not theirs. It went through your experiences, not theirs. So maybe remember that we don't understand the diverse flowers in the garden of life. And may we have great compassion and great medicinal moments of offering to the best of our ability to each flower in the garden, whatever we can with our nows. Thank you for your diverse beliefs.